thereabouts.
Yep.
But it does look like we do have our top 8 starting now. We do have Jesse Cotton versus Harrison Jeffrey, and we have a branded Dracotail mirror match. We haven't seen one of these. We have seen one or two of these on stream, haven't we, in day one?
We've gone through so many I can't remember.
But we haven't had
he-
Jesse Cotton on the stream.
yeah.
That is a big one. We have Jesse traveling all the way from Canada, looking to take out his 8th YCS championship win here.
Yep.
And we see Harry summoning the Lucaius, adding the Phimena, and then activating the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, to send, let's see what he does get rid of, the Fallen of White Dragon here, and then drawing a card from the Albion, and we'll see what Harry decides to cook up in his turn here.
Yep. Jesse having previously won a YCS Sydney, this almost feels like another day in the office to him. On the other side of the bracket, we had last year's champion Frederick Campbell also here to try and have a back-to-back win. So the competition is really high. We've got a range of players. We have the Dom and Fred and Destin from Melbourne. We have Harry from Adelaide, Wei Tong and Cynthia from Sydney, and Jacob from all the way in Tasmania.
See the Phimena activated, Jesse chaining the Fualos. So usually this does mean that Harrison did not have access to another spell that he wished to activate, because usually you can hold the Phimena and offset what a Fualos would do in terms of the amount of draws. But it looks like Harry's just going for a triple fusion here, most likely with the Arthelion, using the ability to add back the 2 cards from hand as well, while getting the Lucaius trigger to set a card.
Yep, so Jesse will draw from the Fualos first. And now Arthalion activates, so he's going to be able to add 2 back and also trigger the effect of Lucaius.
Yep. So that's the reason why he did send the extra 2 from hand. He does want to get the extra value here, and it is an Albaz that's not doing anything particularly amazing, and he would be able to add back the Fallen in White and the Phimena in the process, so able to get into that secondary part of his engine, allowing him to get into Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon with the Fallen of White Dragon, and then he'll have access to Cartesia, as well as getting the extra monsters back in hand too.
Yeah. And one thing to note is that the top cut is untimed. But that doesn't mean players are allowed to now play at a slower pace. They still have to maintain a steady pace just without the pressure of time, forcing double game losses. But both players are very well versed in deck. They made it this far, so I'm sure they all have a solid idea of what they're doing.
So Harry just, utilizing all the time that he does have allocated to him, just considering his options, he is under Fualos. It is quite difficult to navigate this without ending on what tends to be a weaker end board. So we could see Harry maybe giving an extra draw here, and then, just sort of passing back, but he's giving an extra 2 draws at a minimum, unless he does want to end his turn on what we do have here. But he has a key to an Arahu set, so he might opt to give him multiple additional draws in the process.
I think going for an Ecclesia of the Dark Dragon is one that you can make a case for, because although you give your opponent a draw, you're also acquiring advantage as well from your own Ecclesias.
But the problem tends to be, we already do have access to a wide range of abilities to fuse. So maybe the extra draw might be better for Jesse compared to Harrison. So he might be evaluating, hey, how many more draws do I have to give Jesse in the process of making my end board what I want it to be? And we did see him discarding the Fallen of Albaz initially. So I think there's a concern there with the Incredible Ecclesia. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe it can only summon from the main deck. So I'll just quickly confirm that. Because if he did have access to the Albaz in his main deck, he would be able to do quite a bit more.
Yeah, but either
hand or deck. So he would be able to. So he adds back the Albaz. He is able to summon that on Jesse's turn. So it could be as simple as passing here, but he wouldn't have access to any of the Dracotail traps. So Harry just evaluating what he can do. Looks like he is just setting a Forbidden Droplet here and potentially passing.
Out of all potential boards to break, this is not the greatest one for Harry to have to.
Definitely not ideal. And it looks like he is resolving the Fallen and Virtuous ad in the end phase. But now Jesse's just free to make an Alba Leonidas with the Arthalion and the Fallen of White on field, and this is something that Jesse and I have discussed, leading up to the event. It is something I think people sort of neglect. Alba Leonidas being able to just fuse with Albaz and any dragon on the field is
Yes,
completely wiped the board.
exactly. Which was a part of the reason why you could have made the case for a Ecclesia to Dark Dragon as well. It's
Definitely, definitely.
um we'll see how this starts off.
Because I think, yeah, if Jesse just takes like first action Alba Leonidas, it might just be worthwhile here.
Jesse thinking about his turn and how he wants to sequence it. I think the first play of the turn is often going to be the most important one because it dictates what you can do and where you can go from there. And it's the early stages of the game is all about gathering information.
Yep, so we will note we do have Jesse playing the conventional list that we would expect, the three traps, compared to what he was playing at the 300th YCS, where there was not a copy of Horn in his deck. And then we do just have, the standard lineup. And then I'll just have a quick look at Harrison's deck list as well.
Oh, he has his own Fallen of Albaz. Both players have open Fallen of Albaz.
Yeah, not great to see. We also see the Droll and Lockbird. Not ideal when you do have a Fualos online as well. And then we do see Harry opting to use the Fallen and Virtuous to send a copy of Alba Leonidas, getting rid of the Albaz. Jesse's losing an extra card in hand in the process. And I think Jesse's just trying to evaluate, hey, like, am I going to get away with making my own Alba Leonidas here? Potentially.
Using his Fallen of the White Dragon.
Thinking on what to send for its effect.
Dragon that devours all.
Yeah.
And during the end phase, the dragon that devours the dogma is able to add one dogmatic or tri-brigade card from the deck to the hand. Yep, so it looks like Fallen the White Dragon will be successful.
Yep, so summoning it in defense, and then looking to use the effect. We will see if anything does come up here from Harrison's end, but does not look like it. And then we have the Incredible Ecclesia back out now.
You know if there is any particular reason Jesse's holding off from the Alba Leonidas play?
Just in case Harrison does make any mistakes. So Forbidden Droplet is a big one here.
Yep.
That will potentially clear the Fallen of White off the field,
Yep.
and cut off any Alba Leonidas plays. It's maybe something that Jesse has considered, but it's more any other face-up interaction usually forces Harrison to make a worse play to avoid the Alba Leonidas. So probably waiting till the end, seeing if Harrison opts to make any other dragons. That could be something to consider, maybe with the 5 mana. But we'll see where Jesse goes with this. Not getting, particularly greedy with trying to get it on field immediately, but maybe a level of greed trying to maximize value with the option that he does have for him.
So we are at a standstill now. Jesse looking at the Rahu in his hand. Goes ahead and activates it.
Yep, so Rahu is great here. Especially when it does resolve uncontested. So we're going to see if anything does get activated on Harrison's end. We did note that he does have a Rahu set, I believe. That he set a Rahu and a K2 under the Fualos. Yep. Might have been a slight misstep, because he did sort of freeze up play afterwards into the Molchami. So Jesse does know that one of the set cards does not actually do anything right now. So he could potentially deal with that with Urgula.
Yeah, Urgula,
in turn
Pan, and
forcing out
Mana, is it?
Harrison's other set card too.
Yep. So we see Urgula, Pan, and Mana.
So all of the good hand effects going through, or sorry, the good graveyard effects going through now. We see an Arthur in defense mode, and that is going to be able to bounce back 2 cards, as well as getting all 3 of those Dracotail effects. The other important thing to note as well would be the sequencing. So Jesse is currently locked into level 8 dragons, I believe, from the Fallen and White Dragon, and the Rahu would lock him into fusion. So he did, do everything in his power to, make sure he can get all of that done legally, and he's doing a great job with it. And then we have the Arthur adding back the 2. The Pan is just going to take off a body on the field, potentially the Incredible Ecclesia. So we see Harry chaining the Ecclesia to summon, because any Cartesia that would be summoned goes to the grave and would return to hand, so it's always good to have in circulation there.
Yeah, so this Forbidden Droplets here has effectively given him extra bodies. I'm still unsure why he hadn't gone for the Albalentus play earlier when there was an opportunity to cut Harrison off 2 cards. And do you know if there's a particular reason why Jesse's summoning everything in defense position?
Just to play around Dracotail Horn.
Yep.
But now that the unknown set card was Forbidden Droplet, he knows that Horn is no longer there.
Yep.
So he's able to now put all of his monsters in attack position when he does decide to summon them. And then we'll see what he can muster up regarding that. So we have the Pan resolving. We'll have the Urgula resolving. So that'll get rid of the Rahu on field, likely getting rid of one of the Fallen and White Dragon, obviously. And then the Phimena will also just set another card. We've already gone through Rahu. We do still have the option for Key2, as well as just setting the traps to deny any follow-up from Harrison on the next turn. Harrison's still not light on cards. He still has a wide range of cards in hand, and he does still have the option to use the Phimena as well.
Yep. So we are in a fairly simplified game state, but as we've seen, games can go in either direction really quickly. Harrison still has that 5 mana in hand. I can see an Urgula there as well.
Yep, going for Sting and Horn. And then we're removing one of the Fallen White Dragons from the field. There is a chance that Jesse will likely convert his Arthur Lion as well as the Fallen White into the Albalentus, just to offset any potential plays from Harry regarding his Albalentus, which is already in grave, but it's always good to have the foresight just in case, as well as potential super poly plays, super polymerization that is. Those can sort of stifle you, and Albalentus cannot be used as a fusion material. So it's something players have been doing, just taking off the materials on board.
We see a 5 mana come out.
So 5 mana likely to get rid of an Urgula, to potentially pop the Key2, and that might stop Jesse's turn, essentially. Or he might be limited with the Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon instead.
Right, and now he's also activating the effect of Ecclesia the Dark Dragon in response to the 5 mana. He's double checking where Ecclesia and the Dark Dragons can special summon from.
Always good to read your cards, there's no concern there. I think he was double checking if he would be able to summon back the Albaz. Because now he would be able to make a deeper fusion play, still within all of the restrictions as well.
Yeah, I believe that's an Urgula and a Lucius, is it?
Yep. So Jesse chaining here, just in case, I'm just trying to work out if this does play around Pan, but it does play around Gulamel, which is one of the big ones. So he did already have a way to play around it, but just as an option here. So we'll see how he goes with that. Harrison able to pop the Key2 on the chain here, and then the Albaz would be able to discard and fusion with the Gulamel. No, he already activated Albaz, correct? He normal summoned... Oh, he summoned the Albaz initially?
Yeah.
Okay. And I do believe the Albaz is once per turn.
And the Sting will get destroyed by the Urgula.
I think instead of Key2 here, Harrison could potentially have another way to interact. Oh, the Gulamel pop.
Yeah.
Okay, no, so he wasn't able to activate the Albaz, so it wasn't able to cut off the Gulamel anyway. So I think Jesse just maybe a slight misstep, maybe realized, hey, I've already used this effect. But Harrison is currently, doing what this deck does best, just gaining all the resources back and then having another turn. And the other thing to note as well, Harrison did send an Albalainatus for his Fallen and Virtuous, so he would be able to get another card in the end phase. We did have the Incredible Ecclesia. That'll come back to hand as well because we did send a fusion. Jesse will also get that benefit as well for his Incredible Ecclesia. So we'll see. We're definitely going to see a game where both players will have, full hands leading into each other's turns. And it'll be interesting to see what Jesse can do on Harrison's turn here, because it does look like Harrison is quite ahead. He does have access to, 2 set cards on Jesse's turn. Jesse does just have the Dracotail Horn, and then just an Albaz and an Arthur Lion, and he'll be in the same issue. Does Jesse make an Albalainatus to play around potentially a second Albalainatus, which we do see in the graveyard currently? He did send Albalainatus, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He did. Jesse sent the Dragon that Devours.
Yep. Because I believe Harrison did send the Albion into the Virtuous, into the Albalainatus, yep. Going for a contact fusion here.
Yep, so Albalainatus can attack a number of times equal to the number of materials used for it. And during the end phase of Placent, it adds Polymerization normal spell or Fusion normal spell from the deck to the hand.
Yep, so Harrison will be able to add his branded fusion on the following turn. And Jesse really is just doing it to offset any potential Super Poly plays or otherwise. Sort of on the back foot here, we're seeing our 7-time champion really struggling just in this game state, I think.
I think a lot of players over this weekend have also mentioned how they like the Dracotail mirror match. It's a bit of a puzzle to try and navigate through their field and your field if you open rather equal hands.
Yep, there's a lot of depth and dimension as well, because you do have all of these quick effect fusion summons like 5 mana, allowing you to access, allowing you to use cards like Urgler as material, and you can cut off your opponent's Kitu or Rahu, and that might be their only additional line of play. And they might have already thrown a few cards at you. They might have, burned through some extra, monsters in hand or on the field. So having that as an option, it's very, very intricate. Knowing when to use those when your opponent seems like they have a weaker hand, I think it is part of the depth of this matchup.
Yep, so we see the branded fusion add and the Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous added back from the graveyard as well. Harrison just regathering resources. He's gone through a number of his monsters already though, but this deck's recursion and push is just insane.
Yep, he does still also have the essentially floating Arthur Lion as well as the Gulamel. So if Jesse were to make any fusion plays, or even Harrison making fusion plays, he would be able to summon those cards back. And that is quite crucial here in terms of closing out the game, because I think when it does run a bit longer, there is a chance for more mistakes to be made. And I think someone like Jesse would maybe pride himself on having a longer game, as opposed to trying to close the game out a lot quicker. Urgler targeting the Lucaeus here.
Good to see that we're seeing a matchup where both players are get to play their game in some capacity, and they are playing this puzzle where they're trying to use what they have to take on their opponent.
And it's better that it's untimed as well.
Yeah.
The pressure is still there. They're both playing at a reasonable pace, but these games will naturally go long. So having this untimed top 8 is just amazing for both players here. They get to play to the best of their ability without the the looming threat of, hey, we might not get the full 50 minutes here. But yeah, as I mentioned before, their pace of play, immaculate. Beautiful, beautiful gameplay. We're seeing a great game here right now.
Looks like something wants to be activated in the... Okay, so branded fusion that was he just showing the branded fusion that he searched?
I do believe so. And then we do see the Rahu activated. Jesse just evaluating his options. Maybe already has the Dracotail Flame set. We know he has Horn, so it could be one of the last unknown. Actually, we know Fallen and Virtuous as the other set card. We see Flame negating the Rahu here. Does Harry have a Forbidden Droplet? Oh no, he has Fallen and Virtuous to destroy his own Rahu to deny Jesse negating that Rahu now. So it does remove a point of interaction for Harrison in the form of Fallen and Virtuous being used here, but he does get to make more powerful fusion plays moving forward.
And this is where the puzzle pieces all come in. Just the idea of destroying your own cards as well to deny your opponent cards. That is a strategy that can sometimes be missed by a lot of players throughout a long tournament. Especially when you're used to just destroying your opponent's cards as well. Anything being activated in response to the Fallen and Virtuous at this point. That's what they're deciding.
So it looks like Jesse does have a 5 mana in hand. I can't see the other card, but we know he does have the Dracotail Horn as well as the Fallen and Virtuous set. He does have the option to essentially tag out that Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon, and that can get into a Cartesia here as another means to fuse, but not particularly amazing in this current game state.
So we have Chain Link 4, 5 mana. Summon Secretarian Dragon.
Yep, so that is one way to sort of offset what Harrison could do here. Just denying that extra value from the Arthurlion just by applying his own Secretarian immediately. The downside is Jesse is sort of on the back foot. So it'll deny the Arthurlion, but I think Jesse needs Harrison to make a few missteps to sort of get back into this game. Important thing to note as well, the Fallen and Virtuous would have the option to special summon, I believe. It's something that we don't really see too often. We've seen Fallen and Virtuous mostly being used for the destruction effect, but we do have that as a means to summon back on Harrison's turn here.
We do see a Shawless come out. Shawless being a great new card at being able to recycle some of the cards you've gone through, which we can see come into effect as the game goes on and you're running short on resources.
Yeah, especially in the mirror matches where they're sort of making sure the traps can't really resolve, or they have cards like Ghost Spell, and it can sometimes cause these weird game states where you're unable to have any searches of relevance. So having a fusion that allows you to cycle back those cards, amazing stuff. Definitely more relevant game 2 and 3 as well, when you see a lot of the players going second, siding out a lot of their Dracotail traps.
Yeah, so Harrison's hand looks like just a branded fusion and what appears to be a 5 mana left.
So it looks like Harrison's triggered the pan as well as the other cards as well. Just trying to make sure.
Yep, and we see the Dracotail Horn just to make sure Shawless isn't able to start recycling cards.
Looks like Harrison chained a 5 mana here. And then we see Fallen and Virtuous chained here for the destruction effect, sending Rinbrum, another point of interaction here as well.
Yep, Rinbrum, when it's sent to, so during your opponent's turn, you can target one Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, special summon either that monster or this card and banish the other. So you will be able to banish and special summon a Fallen of Albaz.
Yep, and then that would allow Jesse to access the Mirror Jade.
Yep.
And that would be able to just be another point of interaction here. So we'll see how this goes. So you see Harrison reading the Rinbrum here as well. Jesse just looking to deny as much value as possible. And we see the Sting activated. That can clear out the Rinbrum. It could also even clear out the Albaz, correct? I believe it's still in the graveyard, but he's sort of just evaluating, hey, what do I banish here?
Yeah, is that the key 2 that he puts to the top? Yeah. So he's thinking about the key 2. And then it would just be whatever monster he feels appropriate at the time.
So going for the Arthurlion and the key 2 Jesse would be able to resolve the Horn putting back the key to, if I'm not mistaken. So probably just going for it out of technicality, seeing if Jesse makes a mistake. But we'll see how this chain resolves. So Lucius is getting destroyed here. The draw from Sting is happening. Fimena's resolving, fusing with what looked to be a Frixel and the Shalias. And we'll see what Harrison can make. Because he does still have to resolve the other effect he had on the chain, if I'm not mistaken, which would be the pan and everything else. As well as an Arthurline. Yeah, I do believe that would be the case. Yep, so able to trigger those, and then he would still have the pan. Pan to destroy the Secretarion. So that's happening there. Setting the key to... Oh, okay, no. My apologies. Looks like the Horn did resolve without effect here, and Jesse's sort of just going with the motions now. Not too amazing. Harrison really just playing all of his cards out quite perfectly.
Going first is just incredibly important in this mirror match as well.
Yeah, because we'll note Jesse did have, a few cards that weren't too amazing. He did have Fualos and Droll. Really just not ideal, even though you are able to fuse with a lot of these hand traps that the deck does play. Can be worse if it's not a Dracotail name. So finding that balance is always great when you look at your opening hand. It seemed like Jesse was kind of skewed on the other side. A copy of Fallen of Albaz, a copy of Droll, a copy of Fualos. Even with the additional draws from Harrison, still not the best.
Yep, Harry now using Secretary Dragon's effect to special summon another monster.
Yep, so Albaz and 5 mana. It was Albaz Lucius, I believe. Regardless, we do get to see the Albaz activating here. And Jesse... I don't think Jesse can do too much. Harrison just considering his options in terms of what he can summon. He can't use the Abelanatus as material, but he's just using the Ecclesia. Going for the Mirror Jade. I think this is as good as done. I don't think there's much else that that Jesse can do. I think Harrison is just making sure that he is able to, close out the game. Even though it's already in his favor, he does want to be careful that he doesn't receive a slow play warning. As we did mention before, you do still have to play at a reasonable pace. And Harrison has been doing that, but I think he might be getting a little bit flustered because, the game is in his hands. There's not too much else he needs to do.
Activating key to as well.
So would be able to chain the Gulamel here as well to pop a card if Jesse would permit it.
Going to go with.
Yeah, so now we see the Rinbrum being activated. So this is maybe something that Harrison did neglect when he was banishing the Arthurline. So let's see what Jesse manages to do with this Rinbrum here. So we're summoning the Fallen of White Dragon. This is essentially just chain blocking for the Gulamel. And then Jesse will have a chance for a following turn to see if he can actually, put some semblance of a board up, potentially break Harrison's board, but it is quite difficult.
Going down 4 fusion monsters, actually one more on its way. A very long match where both players have gone through so many cards in their 2 turns.
So adding 5 mana.
Mana, the Shoreless.
Making a Mysterion the Crown. The card we don't really see too much in this matchup. Normally better suited against the yummy or the Yummy or Malice decks. Oh, sorry, Mysterio on the Dragon Crown. So
Yeah, so if a monster uses the effect to special summon a monster with the same original type, you can banish one of the special summon monsters, and then all monsters on the field with the same type. So yeah, like against Yummy, you can sweep all of the beasts.
yep, against Malice, you can 5 mana in chain to an effect activating.
Yep.
And you would have the option to banish multiple. Definitely a card that I think is underrepresented because we did see an influx of Malice and Yummy coming from the last few 300th events. And it looks like, okay, so we do have the Fallen of White Dragon able to summon back the Ecclesia from the graveyard, if I'm not mistaken. Just gaining more bodies here.
Yep, Shawless makes a return to the field. Got 5 fusion monsters.
This is similar to one of the feature matches we watched yesterday, actually, where, it looks like Dracotail's doing a lot of nothing, but in reality, it's sort of just maintaining the game. All of the cards are set up for the following turn, and it's just playing to not lose in one turn more than anything. Jesse's identified, okay, what's my win condition? I'm going to build my board back up. It doesn't matter how many cards he has. I just want to see a following turn.
Yep, exactly.
Especially in an on-time game, there's no reason to take a concession for time management. You give your opponent more opportunities to make mistakes, and I think Jesse's identified that. However, Harry does have quite a commanding lead, so I'm interested to see if he can navigate what Jesse is throwing at him. It does look like he's done quite a good job so far.
Yep. He blinks out the Ecclesia again. No?
Yep, so the Mirror Jade was activated. Jesse just banishing the Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon, just so he does have that for the following turn. And you see Harry removing the Cartesia on the field. Only card that can really do anything at this point. So it's a no-brainer logical pick, I think, for Harrison there. And then we do have the Charlotte recycling as well.
Interesting to note that Harry has found the space in his deck to play both the Mysterion and the Titanic Lad. We've seen some players yesterday not have cards like Titanic Lad to be able to take on Liga Dancer. What is Harry not playing to make up those spaces?
Hand, if you don't have a Dracotail name as well as a means to fuse, it can be quite difficult. So on top of that, yeah, if you factor in cards like Imperm, you have hands that are just not able to do anything. So hopefully that isn't the case for either of our players. We do want to see a nice, fun game here.
Albion and an Urgula in Harrison's hand. Oh, just starts off the game with a Rahu. Using the Fall on the White Dragon from the hand.
Yep, so potentially doesn't want to be locked into 8s, wants to go into some additional means, and could add it back with the Arthur Lion after he's already started doing fusion plays here. So maybe identified, hey, I don't need to make the Synchro, the Ecclesia and Dark Dragon. I'm just going to use this one to turn into an incredible Ecclesia, and maybe use that as interaction on the opponent's turn instead.
Jesse just clearly thinking through what his options are here. Definitely knows he wants Urgula gone.
Yep, so Rahu with the Fallen White Dragon and the Urgula, most likely going for an Arthur Lion, and then Arthur Lion will be able to add back. It could also be likely that maybe the Fallen of White Dragon was the only monster in Jesse's hand as well, because we did see a bunch of green cards. Those could be the spells or traps that he sided in. Similar issue that we discussed before. Sometimes you don't have enough monsters, but sometimes only one monster is enough.
Yep, so we see the key to get activated, adding the Lucius. Lucius get normal summon, adding another, potentially 5 mana at this point.
Yep, nope, looks good. Um, does still factor in. So we know Jesse does have one monster in hand. That would be the Fallen of White Dragon. So the 5 mana here, probably not too much of a concern. He could also even do some shenanigans with the Incredible Athlesia, putting it in the grave and adding it back in the process here too. Jesse may be trying to evaluate, hey, do I go for the Gulamel? Do I try and, make some additional plays here?
Oh, now he's going with the Fallen of the Albaz line. Sending Albion.
So Fallen of Light, that'll get him into Fallen of Virtuous now too. Yep. So important to note that Jesse is currently locked into only fusion summoning because of the Rahu. So he'll probably look at seeing what this 5 mana can do, maybe for a Secretarian Dragon.
There we go. Secretarian Dragon it is.
Secretarian Dragon coming down now. We do have the Lucaeus being able to trigger here. He's already gone through both spells, likely going through for the traps now. And we'll see what Jesse can do with the Secretarian Dragon effect potentially. That could be something to look at for the rest of this turn, but I'm not sure what he can do when he is fusion locked here.
Right.
Going Urgula to add back the 5 mana.
Now we're using the Secretarian Dragon, special summon back.
Just giving himself additional cards to work with on Harrison's turn. He's setting 3 cards. We only know 1 copy of Sting. He does side deck Infinite Impermanence, and he will be getting another quick play spell or a branded fusion if he already has the quick play spell from this Albion, the Dark Dragon.
Yeah, now it's Harrison's turn to stare at a board of 4 monsters and 5 spells and traps and try to break that apart.
Important thing to note though, this is a board that if Harrison just sets Fallen of White Dragon or Fallen of Albaz, he would be able to make the Albanatus with the Secretarian, the Arthur Lion, and just those. But it is quite a game swing. He would be able to use the quick play to summon back the Secretarian, though, I do believe.
I'm going to start with Albion, the Shrouded Dragon again, it seems.
Yeah, just take the draw. Probably no concern with doing that there. The Albion is quite amazing in this deck. It does give you the option, if you open Albion, it's essentially additional copies of the Fallen of White Dragon. So you send it, and then you're able to add it back off the Arthur Lion, and that sort of just lets you bridge both engines into each other. Obviously, you do still have to draw the Albion, but can come up where no other card functions that way. And important to also note, Fallen White Dragon being treated as Fallen of Albaz, you can still only have 3 copies of that and Albaz between your main and side deck. It's the Harpy Lady Claws. So you can't just simply play 3 copies of that and 1 copy of Albaz. You do have to pick between how many you do play.
Dino Wrestler Pankratops I can see in Harrison's hand.
Yep, so Harrison and Jesse are both citing Dino Wrestler Pankratops, I do believe. And that is a card that's quite unique. We don't usually see it in the mirror match. We do see it more against decks like Radiant Typhoon or otherwise. Actually,
yeah, in a matchup where it can, utilize its high attack to attack over a monster and then tribute itself off to clear out another card.
It also does, sort of offset cards like the Dracotail Horn, just having the option to tag out, tributing itself, destroying an additional card, offsetting Horn, returning it. So it does present quite a threat here. Also gives another out to the Secretarian Dragon, which is quite a difficult card to navigate in the mirror match. Okay, Forbidden Droplet, not too bad here. Sending a monster as well, so the Pankratops would not be able to be chained. Harrison would have the option to chain a quick play and then chain the Pankratops if he would so wish, but it doesn't look like he has that available to him.
Why is the Dracotail's going to the graveyard.
I think he attacked. He went to battle phase
yeah,
2
yeah,
attack, and then okay.
Actively
So
cleaved
the
out.
droplet was activated in damage steps. There's no concern there. Just additional battle tricks. Forbidden droplet halves attack. Oh well.
And drawing the Ecclesia is not the greatest.
See, that's another thing though. If Harrison keeps hard drawing the incredible Ecclesia, maybe there's a world where Jesse could, you know, pin him down. Okay, I might have an opponent who's playing 3 copies of Ecclesia, could mean an Exciton Knight. So it sort of presents that dimension to it where if there's 2 level 4 monsters and there's no restrictions, maybe Harrison could summon Exciton. We know he doesn't play it, but Jesse might not. And that'll make Jesse make a worse play than he would normally just for the threat of Exciton Knight.
Fallen the White Dragon doesn't stay long. We have the Fallen and Virtuous from Jesse's side to destroy, sending the Dragon that devours the Dogma once again. It seems that that's generally his first pick.
Yep. So it is more of a it's more of a frivolous send. Doesn't actually do too much else. Definitely knows these minor interactions that can come up and cost him a game that he would otherwise win.
Like we spoke with Claire after winning the Genesis event, she's mentioned that at the very last moment she added 7 Tacky onto her deck. She went to go activated game 1 round 1 today, realized she forgot to add targets in her extra deck. So some simple mistakes like that do happen across all levels of gameplay.
Well, Claire still won anyway, so
yeah, she effectively
must have
played
worked out.
with a handicap, like game 1 handicap every match.
It's always good to play on hard mode.
Yeah. Harrison going first game 3, Branded Fusion.
Looks to be Frixel and Fallen of White.
For the Sanctifier.
Triggering the Frixel here, setting the Key 2. Key 2 looks to resolve. Let's see what he accesses here. Could be Lucius.
Yep. Yeah, we see the normal summon of the Lucius. Looks to add 5 mana. What I can see. Yep.
Activating Rahu now.
I wonder what's in Jesse's hand. Is he entirely on a hand which is built to break boards?
I think someone of Jesse's caliber prefers to look at the hand, know exactly what he has, and if it's interaction, don't look at it until, you know, the option presents itself. Otherwise, maybe there's some leaks in terms of what you do have in hand. You know, maybe you're holding your cards and you accidentally drop something. You know, why put yourself at that risk? As we discussed before, that comes with the veteran sense that Jesse would have.
Right. Yep. So now we have the Arthrathian play.
And then it looks like the Rahu did fuse with 3 cards. So 1 from deck would have been the Urgula, the Phimena, as well as the Albaz. We were able to set 2 traps. Arthurline will be able to add back, so that would be the Fallen of White, as well as the Phimena. Something that we've seen quite often, just being able to access both engines by activating one of your, you know, spells is quite amazing. And we see the Fallen of White being summoned now. Once again, important to note that Harrison is currently locked into fusions from the Rahu, so we might see a similar end board that we saw game 1 maybe?
Yep.
Not opting to make the synchro?
Yeah, but then at that point you're at risk of having your board
So, Albion Sanctifier can't be used as fusion material. There's something to quickly note here, and the Phimena also wasn't activated, so it looks like we are just clearing off those extra bodies. Going for a Secretarion Dragon play here, and just giving additional bodies on field while setting all 3 traps.
Yes, there's a difference between playing under 4 loss and not playing under 4 loss as well. So we've got Secretarian, Sanctify, Arathlian, and then the full suite of the Dracotail trap cards. Yep, Secretarian also being no, so he's irregular to add back to 5 mana. Might look to use the Secretarian as well. I believe that's what's happening.
Yep, looks like the Frixel being summoned, the Albaz being put back, and the Frixel is able to give an additional body for Harrison here. Just everything going his way, it seems. So it looks like the Frixel, the Arthaline triggered. No, okay, no. So the Frixel triggered summoning back the Lucario. So it looks like we did just shortcut a little bit here. It should be no concern. And then we do have another set card, and Harrison still has the Albion engraved. So if he doesn't have access to Fallen and Virtuous, he's able to set it now.
Definitely. Alex, this certainly is a puzzle for Jesse to play. I've been told that the DDD deck won the top 8. So that will be the DDD player will be playing the winner of this match.
And the DDD player did beat Jesse in Swiss as well. So maybe Jesse would be out for revenge if he's able to win this game, but it looks like Harry has put up a commanding field. It might be difficult for Jesse to get out of this.
That's a very good start. I think anyone would consider
the entire weekend, I have only heard of Jesse activating Harpy's Feather Duster and then having the option to Forbidden Droplet it.
Yep.
Will this be the same thing that we see today?
I mean, it has to be, right? The Flame is known. He has it. Does he have it? He has
He does have it every single time. Jesse Cotton showing why he is one of the best in the world, one of the best to ever do it. All of Harrison's cards will go to the grave. Looks like Harrison is just trying to figure out, hey, what can I activate now? What can I do here?
It's a Sting just for one.
No reason not to. It will replace itself. We have the Horn as well.
You can return your own.
Looking at the Arthalion, I think.
You're probably returning your own Arthalion.
And then Harrison just considering, hey, what do I do with this quick play that I just set? What do I do with my other set card? Could be a Forbidden Droplet. That is something that we have seen. What's another spell? So we do have another Fallen in Virtuous. Did he set 2 copies of that from the Albion?
No, he set 1. He already had it 1 card set from hand.
Yeah, that would have been the Fallen in Virtuous, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it looks like he did opt to set both. Might have been a slight oversight because of the Harpy's Feather Duster. Also, the Horn is bouncing back the Secretarion. Okay, and then we have the Fallen in Virtuous special summoning back? If I'm not mistaken. No, so he's putting back for the trap now. Okay. We'll see how this resolves. Drawing 1 card from the Horn and then 1 card from the Sting. So putting back the... Oh, so okay. The Fallen in Virtuous was used to destroy the Horn to put it back. The Flame, sorry, to put it back. Yep. This makes way more sense now. And then it looks like we are resolving everything. And then Jesse opting to negate the incredible Ecclesia.
Yep, but now Jesse's also playing with 4 cards. Those 4 cards sure need to be really good.
They could just be Branded Fusion.
Yep.
If Harrison doesn't have Ash Blossom, we haven't seen an Ash Blossom in either of these games, I don't believe.
No, it looks like it's a 5 mana. I think
5 mana Malulu?
A Pan might have been. I mean, Branded Fusion would be a really good card.
Ooh, Cartesia, not ideal, but still good enough. If it does resolve, we could have a game on our hands. I see a Fallen in Virtuous in Jesse's hand, a Lucario, and I think another Dracotail monster.
Look like a 5 mana.
Cartesia has been activated. Looks like it is resolving now. Lucius and Pan. Okay. Pan, not terrible here.
Oh, like
it'll still access another name. It does clear a body off the field, you know, making that 8,000 damage just a little bit easier. Actually, 7,800 damage, just a smidge easier. We'll see if this can work out for Jesse here. But as we mentioned before, Harrison did have such a commanding lead, but Jesse opening Harpy's Feather Duster, Forbidden Droplet, and an uncontested Cartesia to fuse. What could he be thinking right now?
Well, whatever he's thinking, you better think really carefully. Game 3 in this match, any mistake, and it's lights out.
I think Jesse's been in these spots before. It should be no concern for him. He probably doesn't want to risk a slow play penalty. Harrison, however, he's in a commanding lead, but who knows if the nerves are getting to him. You know, he is against one of the world's best players in a Game 3 situation in the top 8 of YCS Sydney 2026.
Oh, he's looking at his own Secretarian Dragon.
So triggering both names, yep. And the Secretarian Dragon is live now. He'd be able to get the Lucius out, as well as resolving everything else. We had to normal summon the Cartesia to get started, but this is fine. We'll have the Kitu and the Ra, who I think Jesse is able to play this game, but Harrison does still have those interactions in hand with the Phimena, with the Malulu. Did look like a Pan as well, so he does have options. Might not be great, but it'll definitely extend the game.
Open game state. Every time there's an open game state, there's going to be opportunity for Harry to see if he wants to play a bit more proactively.
Yeah, if he has an Urgula, could opt to use the Phimena now, and then use the Urgula to destroy the Kitu or maybe the Rahu. Could even destroy both with a Gulamel. You know, pending there's nothing that can, you know, enter the chain on Jesse's side to let the Gulamel not be able to activate.
Does look like a Pan and a Malulu at the very least.
Malulu to negate the Secretarion before it can activate, that could be the consideration here.
The Pan, the Frixel.
Could just use the Pan to destroy the Secretarion. I guess that is another option that he does have. Just preempting it before he doesn't have an opportunity to do so. Otherwise, summoning his own Secretarion Dragon.
Yep, he's going through his deck now. He's gonna set Rahu and looks.
Wait, sorry. Just to confirm, was the Secretarion summoned? Was summoned with Lucius, correct? So one was Lucius as well as Pan.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Frixel and Pan. Okay,
yeah.
no problem there.
Yep, we see the Fallen and Virtuous now from Jesse's side. Sending Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Albion the...
Oh, the, so Albion the Branded Dragon.
The Branded
right?
Dragon.
Yeah. Yep, so the Shrouded is the main deck one, the Branded Dragon is the extra deck one. Yep. That is how I differentiate them, otherwise it is quite confusing. I do agree.
Yep. Now... Fallen of Virtuous was used to destroy the Secretarian Dragon.
Yep, in turn triggering Pan, being able to summon back the Lucius, and then getting back into some more Dracotail names here. We do still have Harrison still resolving his chain and everything else, just allowing Jesse to resolve his effects now. So looks like Harrison is out of interaction here.
And at the end of it, Jesse still has a Rahu and a Kitu. Right. Yep. We can see cards being played. Jesse having the 5 mana hand. He's going for the key 2 first.
Both players just going over this meticulously, not leaving any room for error here.
Like we said, this mirror match is oftentimes a puzzle.
We see the Arthur line. This would be for an add back 2, as we did get to resolve that key 2, and Harrison does control a monster. So we'll see where that does go for Jesse. Now, he does look to be in a commanding-ish lead. Anything can happen, as we did mention before. These mirror matches are quite volatile. You do have a lot of back and forth.
Urgil is also able to resolve as well. Has taken out the key 2. And now Jesse ends up with his full suite of Dracotail trap cards. And they go back to hand from the Arathlion.
It's important to note as well, I don't believe Jesse activated Rahu or is locked. Is that correct?
Not that I was
Unless
aware.
did he summon Fallen of White?
Easier.
It's Fallen. Oh no, I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to see if there maybe is still an option to make SP Little Knight. I do see him moving that one to the top of his extra deck, because that would be able to sort of reset the game. Jesse will have the full board, and then Harrison does have to try once again.
Yep. No. So now we see Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon summon out the White Dragon, sums out Incredible Ecclesia. And Incredible Ecclesia just tagging back out into a Albaz or a Fallen the White Dragon. We see the Albaz.
An Albaz ability can activate.
Can
only use the opposing Arthalion Dragon. But I think this might just be it.
Yeah.
We would have 3,000 from the Mirror Jade, 3,000 from the Arthalion, as well as the Fallen of White. If he does have a little bit of extra damage, this would close the game out.
But even if you don't,
it's still quite a good position to be in. Yeah,
exactly.
Jesse navigated this, as he should, as a 7-time champion, having fortunate enough to have the Forbidden Droplet as well as Harpy's Feather Duster to clear out everything Harrison had set up and just reset the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jesse trying to figure out, hey, do I want to make something with the Frixel here and try to clear a few additional bodies, or do I pick the Arthur Lion and make the Mirror Jade immediately? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep, no, we neglected this. We did talk about this one before.
Yeah. The Dragon Devours the Dogma requires that a Fallen of Albaz, a light or dark monster and an effect monster, and then while Ecclesia monster on the field, it gains 500 attack going to 3,500, unaffected by other card effects. And if this card's special summon, you can shuffle up to 2 cards from any graveyard or banishment into the deck.
Yep, so Jesse was opting to return one of his Arthurlines, I do believe, as well as his opponent's Arthurline, if I'm not mistaken. And we do still have the Rahu live, so he didn't activate the Rahu initially. I think this is just game on board.
Yep, so the 5 mana from the hand. Yep, we see the Gulamel. Right.
So Jesse going for the Urgula, adding back the 5 mana.
Yep.
And then he would be able to activate the Gulamel here.
Roy. This was played incredibly well by Jesse
put
as well.
on an absolute clinic, and that's not to take away from Harrison. I do believe he just played the cards that were dealt.
In fact, all 3 games we saw here were magnificent, played by both players.
Jesse's still considering his options if he should go with one decision over the other.
Yep,
Jesse takes it.
Incredible